Denzel Washington is back as Robert McCall in The Equalizer 3, and in this one, after being badly injured, McCall is nursed back to health by the friendly inhabitants of a town in southern Italy. When he discovers that they're being terrorized by the Sicilian mafia, well, I think you know what's gonna happen, right?
You will shit on yourself.
So, I have to say, right off the top, I absolutely love the Equalizer movies. It seems like nobody is really making straightforward action thrillers nowadays other than Antoine Fuqua, who seems to have become the greatest master of the genre since the late Tony Scott. His movies are taut, efficient, and packed with gruesome R-rated action. They know exactly what they are, and if indeed this is the final Equalizer film, and I sure hope it isn't, it perfectly closes out the only big screen trilogy of Denzel Washington's career. Robert McCall is a really good character for Denzel. At 70 years old, Washington has the right mix of righteous anger, world weariness, and kindness to do the character justice, one film after another. One thing I've always loved about the franchise is how faithful it actually is to the concept of the original TV show from the 80s, which starred Edward Woodward as a distinctly British version of the Equalizer. McCall is an ex-agent, and he's doing penance for a lifetime of violence by trying to help those in need. And you really get the fact that he is really trying to help people. Granted, his help usually involves a lot more violence, but hey, McCall almost always gives his adversaries a chance to do the right thing and back off. And those he kills really have it coming, making him a pretty righteous avenger. The Equalizer 3 is a bit leaner than the other movies in the franchise, as this is the only one that actually doesn't run over 2 hours, and in fact is a lean and mean 100 minutes. This is kind of a more focused mission than the ones we saw in the first 2 movies. The movie begins with McCall massacring a faction of the mafia because, I quote, "they took something that didn't belong to them." We don't actually find out what this was and why he was in Sicily in the first place until the end of the movie, but given what we know about McCall from the other movies, namely that he'll do whatever it takes to help someone in need, even if he doesn't know them at all, it puts a perfect bow on the franchise. One of the best things about the series is how Washington is able to convey a lot about McCall's backstory without spelling it out. He's sophisticated and worldly, but also a guy that genuinely likes people. He's approachable and friendly, so it makes sense that he would have an easy time becoming part of the fabric of the Italian community he finds himself recovering in. Part of the joy of Fuqua's film is watching McCall ingratiate himself with the locals, and the movie takes its time to establish the friendly rapport he builds with a local doctor, a local police officer, and a friendly bistro owner. Meanwhile, the movie also offers us a Man on Fire reunion with Dakota Fanning as a CIA agent that McCall plucks out of a menial role in order to give her a scoop on a major terror funding operation that involves the mafia. Fanning and Washington still have great chemistry, with her once again playing a pseudo-daughter figure to him, although the relationship has an interesting balance now that she's an adult with motivations of her own. Fuqua's always done a skillful job balancing character beats and carnage in his Equalizer movies, and he certainly doesn't skimp on violence. Indeed, this is likely the most gruesome of the series to date, with McCall dispatching his opponents in ways that make him kind of an action hero crossed with a slasher. I feel like McCall could go up against Jason or Freddy Krueger at this point and come out on top as far as gore and kill counts go. This is probably a lot more violent than the last couple of Scream movies. Once again, Washington's McCall goes for speed and efficiency, using whatever weapon he has handy. Notably, he only rarely uses a gun, and if he shoots somebody, usually it's only after he's used the barrel to impale them through their ocular cavity and use their skull as an improvised silencer. And yes, this actually happens in the movie, pretty early on actually. This is hard R-rated material, and it's nice to see Fuqua and Washington are still on board with making their movies as lean and mean as possible. They never do skimp on the violence. If I have any issues with The Equalizer 3, it's that once again the movie's villains are pretty generic. You know that a random mafioso isn't going to pose much of a threat to McCall, and it would have been great to see Denzel go up against another icon in a final battle royale. Imagine Mel Gibson or somebody like that being an adversary to Denzel Washington. It would be pretty cool, but alas, it was not to be. Even still, The Equalizer 3 delivers just as much of a bang as the other movies in the series, and it's pretty kick-ass entertainment. I give this one a very strong 8 out of 10.